Good afternoon and welcome to Opportunity Home San Antonio's regular board meeting. Please note this meeting will be recorded in its entirety. I will now conduct roll call. Chair Gabriel Lopez.
Here.
Vice Chair Gilbert Casillas.
Here.
Barbara Ancama Burford.
Here.
Dalia Contreras. Here. Estrella Garcia Diaz.
Here.
Janet Garcia.
Here.
Leila Powell.
Here.
Doug Ponnick, Board of Commissioners Attorney.
I'm here.
President and CEO Michael Reyes.
Here.
We also have a Spanish interpreter located at the back of the room should you need their support. The time is 1:07 p.m. You may now call the meeting to order.
Thank you. The Board of Commissioners or its committee may hold a closed meeting pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071-076 for consultation concerning attorney-client matters, real estate, litigation, personnel, and security matters. The board or committee reserves the right to enter into a closed meeting at any time during the course of the meeting. It is 1:07, and first item is citizens to be heard.
Now is the time for citizens to be heard. Citizens will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. Each citizen will be permitted to speak only once. The board asks the public to address concerns related to Opportunity Home manners and policy and not include statements that may be considered defamatory of any individual. The board encourages members of the public to direct specific concerns or problems to Opportunity Home staff for more prompt resolution. The board will not discuss the comments of speakers or respond to speakers during the Citizens Be Heard portion of the agenda. Our first speaker is Richard Cantu.
Thank you. My name is Richard Cantu. I have been living at Blanco Apartments since 2020. I'm here regarding rent payments from July 2024 to January 2025 because of the differences between the dollar amounts reported by management on statements and receipt payments I paid for by money orders to the client service specialist, Michelle Ornelas. There seems to be typographical errors, mistakes in entering figures or calculating amounts leading to mismatches. I was overcharged rent $500 plus by 30-day notice and random typographical errors. I paid $297.31 and $4.74 with my Capital One credit card. Also, unauthorized transactions on my closed Wells Fargo's checking account. I need to report and dispute unauthorized charges on my closed bank account that was closed on October 6, 2023 by Wells Fargo's bank. I was notified by Assistant Manager Dora Garcia on May 16, 2025 meeting that Saha was giving me credit and discredits on their system to my closed account when I noticed Saha was still charging me auto pay as far as back as August to 2022 and NSF non-sufficient funds fees before I even had a bank account. I also had bank statements provided to me by banker Daniela Ramirez verifying my findings. Since November 2024, I was ignored requesting an inquiry to rental payments until finally, during May 16, 2025 meeting with Assistant Manager Dora Garcia demanding to see money order receipt from June 2023, a month I never disputed. I did not have it at the time, but Speedy Cash provided me with a second receipt along with the money order serial number. Here's a breakdown request of inquiry and payments. Multiple visits in November 2024 to Blanco Apartments with client service specialist Michelle Ornelas. 2 personal visits to Saha. Stamped statements verifying in May 5th, 2025. 2 USPS certified letters mailed to Saha on February 19, 2025 and April 29, 2025. Confirmed through UPS tracking. Consistent emails through my Gmail account. I have made copies of everything in a folder, including rent ledgers I made using the few same statements and receipts provided to me by Saha. So please bear with me. I've never spoken in public before. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Anthony Daggett.
Good afternoon, President Reyes, honorable members of the board, and executive leadership. I want to thank you for the opportunity for letting us speak. I'm speaking on behalf of Texas Law and Mass Security Traffic Control Services. We're a proud local minority-owned and led business that has served as a sole provider of both security and fire watches for Opportunity Home San Antonio for the past 2 years. I would like to speak specifically to consent item 9, resolution 6768, and item number 21, resolution 6776, and to respectfully follow up on a formal letter that was submitted to this board and OSHA leadership on Tuesday, June 17th, via both email and certified mail. In the letter, we detailed serious concerns regarding the fairness, transparency, and consistency of the procurement process related to these 2 resolutions. I sincerely hope each of you has had the opportunity to review it. Given the significance of these contracts to public safety, resident well-being, and operational continuity, I'd like to briefly summarize our concerns in this public setting. On June 12th, during a meeting with George, I'll say his name wrong, Alaya, we were presented with the scoring matrix. We were shocked to see a steep and unexplained drop in our evaluation score. TLS has consistently delivered strong performance, rapid response, and proven results, helping to remove multiple properties from SAPD's top 10 crime list, investing over $500,000 in dedicated fleet and infrastructure, and continuing to operate through delayed payments exceeding $1 million. Despite this, TLS was not recommended for the award. What's more concerning is that after raising these issues in good faith, we received a letter from Director Alaya warning that TLS could be disqualified for simply expressing our concerns about the process and about his role in overseeing both RFPs and our existing agreement. That response, rather than engaging with substance of our letter, only reinforces the concerns we raised. Let me be clear, our letter was not intended to circumvent or seek special treatment. It was submitted in the interest of fairness and public accountability. When a vendor with the document track record of services excluded without clear explanation, and when sincere questions are met with threats rather than dialogue, it raises legitimate concerns about the integrity of the process. We also reported inappropriate communications during the RFP period, such as our officers, including a Texas peace officer, being approached and asked to work for other vendors before awards were publicly announced. Combined with scoring inconsistencies and the exclusions of TLS despite being the next qualified vendor, these issues merit thorough and independent review. This is not just about a contract. It's about ensuring the continuity of service, protecting the community trust, and prioritizing the safety of families who rely on the services every day. With only 8 business days remaining before the June 30 transition, awarding these contracts to vendors unfamiliar with OSHA properties introduces a real and necessary risk. TLS has already offered the support and phased and responsible transition to avoid service disruption that offer was declined. We are not here to create conflict. We are here to stand in the gap to serve with professionalism, integrity, and good faith. With the utmost respect, we ask the board to table the resolutions.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Contessa Smith.
She's not here. Contessa Smith? Okay. We can move on.
Our next speaker, James Hamilton.
Hello, my name is James Hampton, president of Lewis Chatham Apartments on the South Side. And my concern today is about a little bit of dishonesty by these board members that I'm looking at right now, and probably a couple of staff members. The Department of Energy have appropriated monies for the e-bike program. And when Opportunity Home posted on his website, a lot of residents at Chatham and other properties was excited that the government is providing us with e-bikes. I recently discovered from a former city council member that Opportunity Home, because of batteries, have secretly killed the partnership and didn't tell us residents. Residents at Chatham and other apartments was waiting for a response, waiting for the portal to open up for us to sign up. It never happened. And y'all still got it on your website that y'all were expecting to give 250 e-bikes to residents. While the program has been killed, we still waiting on the response about the e-bike program. Y'all walked away from it and have 250 residents waiting for an opportunity to receive one, or at least a response. I saw on TV that those e-bikes was given to homeless people when they could have been given to a resident that they could use it for a doctor's appointment or even getting a job and riding to work. That's one opportunity that was stripped from us. Opportunity Home also got a secret ban on e-bikes. Now, I've been carrying on this conversation with Opportunity Home for over a year. And got supposed to do a study to find out the safety of lithium-ion batteries. A year had passed. And y'all still haven't came to a conclusion what y'all going to do about the matter. And I'm asking the board and the CEO for a written response. And I want Opportunity Home to let the residents know all through the system that they're not receiving their e-bikes and why. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Christopher Thomas.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christopher Thomas. I am the CEO and founder of Lakeway Security. Lakeway Security has proudly served Opportunity Homes San Antonio for going on 7 years now. Throughout the long-standing partnership, we have built strong, trusted relationships with your team, consistently delivered dependable, high-quality services across multiple properties. We've done network systems, point-to-point, created Wi-Fi after the pandemic so that people could basically log on and could send emails out. Our commitment has always been to support the mission and to ensure that the residents and facilities receive the very best possible service and performance. On April the 16th, we were notified by the procurement team that Lakeway Security had been selected as the top-ranked respondent for RFP 2501552. The following day, I personally attended the board meeting, introduced myself, responded to questions. I then returned on May the 7th, prepared to accept our award and address any additional concerns in the event that any do come up. However, just hours before the meeting, our award for recommendation was removed from the agenda without any formal notice, explanation, or the opportunity for us to participate in any further dialogue. The sudden reversal left us without answers and denied us the chance to respond or clarify any perceived issues. We are also deeply concerned that our original bid amount was publicly disclosed. Now that the solicitation is being rebid, that disclosure places Lakeway Security at a competitive disadvantage. Our pricing was submitted in good faith with the expectation of a fair and confidential evaluation process. Public release of this sensitive information raises concerns about how future evaluations will remain impartial. Given these developments, we respectfully ask that the board review the facts surrounding the original award and provide clarity to why it was rescinded. Transparency in this process is not only critical for our company, but for preserving the vendor confidence in Opportunity Homes procurement procedures. Lakeway Security is rebidding on this project in good faith. However, we firmly believe that administrative error occurred, and that should be acknowledged and addressed. We respectfully urge the board to reconsider circumstances and pursue a resolution that reflects fairness, accountability, and the best interests of your agency and its residents. We remain ready to perform under the original award and committed to continue servicing the Opportunity Homes. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Frank Valdez.
Good afternoon. My name is Pancho Valdez. I am a former resident at the lofts at Marie McGuire downtown. My time there was for about 10 years, and while I never saw anything out of the ordinary, I am concerned that at other properties where my friends still live, there have been beatings, rapes, murders. Now, according to HUD, housing authorities are supposed to provide residents a sanitary and safe living environment. Obviously, that ain't happening. Last year, 6 people were killed on various properties owned by Opportunity Home, and this year we know of at least 3 people who have been killed. I believe that instead of building more affordable homes, take care of the ones you got. Provide the people with safety. Remember, tenants of an Opportunity Home include elderly, disabled, and children. If anybody's got any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. Well, maybe that should be changed.
Our next speaker is Maureen Galindo.
Hi, I'm Maureen Galindo. I am here with San Antonio Tenant Union. I guess let's talk about corruption. I don't know what's going on with those security contracts. This is the first time I'm seeing anything, but let me put my 2 cents in that I think it's probably because they don't care about any of the residents here. All that goes on here is how do we get our developer friends, or our personal stocks or whatever, more profit for us. I actually was just sitting here thinking about the board and how I don't even feel like I'm addressing anybody at the board. And it's no offense, it's just that I don't see you guys doing anything. It's like, to me, I'm just speaking directly past all of y'all because I don't see you guys as having any power, truly. And I think that that's really indicative when I realize that nobody has ever reached out to me, ever. Not a single time. I've been coming up here for 7 years, and there's never been a single board member. I think that you guys are just here probably for lots of different reasons, personal reasons, but primarily probably for social capital at its root, right? And just kind of gives you a little more capital in the world, which is what everyone's after, is that profit. Which is, I don't quite understand what's on the agenda about these projects that are being turned into private public, but when Pancho was talking about how maybe you should be taking care of the residents that you have, that's what you're charged with, right? I'm sorry, I'm actually not sure why I'm trying to get through to you guys as a matter of fact. That's what you're charged to do, but I don't see it happening. I think who has the real power here, the only power here, is Gabriel Lopez. That's objective. I'm not trying to create defamatory remarks. Is that what you guys put in there? I'm assuming that's from one of my last comments about where very objectively, this is not defamation, this is not untrue. I looked up the definition of defamation before I came up here to make sure that I wasn't breaking your rules. This isn't defamation. It is very true that you have a realtor/lawyer working for you. I'm sorry, you guys are supposed to oversee them. I get real confused because the power is so obviously just right here. Who's working to get rid of your land, to get rid of the power to be able to take care of the residents on your land. Who, when 100 Labor Street back in 2019 was voted down by the board, who took them into a closed session and forced them to vote for it. Do you see why I don't think that you guys have any power here? And where the corruption, I think, lies, that is really causing harm to, again, the people who you swore, right? I mean, did you swear an oath to be up here? To take care of the residents of San Antonio and public housing who are the most vulnerable? Or just to listen to them and sell off all of our land?
That concludes our citizens to be heard.
Thank you. We'll move to items 3 and 4. We have public hearing requirements for Resolution 6756, authorizing the Costa Valencia apartment project restructuring, including authorizing the sale of the Costa Valencia apartment project, and the establishment of a public-private partnership to rehabilitate and operate the project, including execution of all documentation in connection therewith. This will also be part of the San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation Resolution 25 FAC-04-04, authorizing the optional redemption, repayment, and discharge of the San Antonio Housing Finance Corporation multifamily housing revenue bonds as related to Costa Valencia. Let's see. So Tim, you're going to do this?
I'm going to present this one, yes.
Okay.
So the board has heard of this before. It was at the February 19th ops and in the March 6th board meeting. And there was a group called LXMI Capital that was the high bidder at that point in time. And they were looking to purchase these two properties for $24 million, but they wanted to do some due diligence. We're bringing it back to you again to get final approval. What they want to do is, and just so y'all are aware, that there is a LURA, or land use restriction, against that property because it was a tax credit deal, a 4% tax credit deal, and we're year 16, so there's another 14 years of a land use restriction agreement on the properties, and so it'll continue to be serving folks that are 60% AMI or lower. The buyer is going to put $6.5 million into the property to preserve it, which includes modernizing interiors, painting cabinets, upgrading the pool area, adding a dog park, adding LED appliances. And as part of that process, they've asked us to stay in the transaction as well. So we'll still be in the transaction. We'll provide a tax exemption. Both these properties were struggling before, which is one of the reasons that we put up for sale, and they were losing about $1 million a year annually. And so this group's going to go in there and help us preserve this asset by doing amenities, bringing in their own private capital, and then managing it. We're staying in it, and we'll receive some of the sales tax savings, property tax savings, and every time there's a capital event, there's a fee there as well. Also, during the due diligence period, in front of Costa Valencia, there's 0.8 of an acre that was at one time was owned by NRP. As they were going through it, they said there was, it was an unused piece of property, and I want to give a compliment to NRP. They're not in this transaction. They're donating the land to the development. It's 0.8 of an acre in front of it, so that can be utilized as part of the development, better signage, and also clean up the area in front of Costa Valencia. We're asking. Oh, the other thing that was during the due diligence period, there was $580,000 worth of foundation repair that needs to be performed on the property. And as we're going through that, we agreed to split that cost, to have the sale go through. So we're asking for final approval today to sell the property for the terms I mentioned, subject to the takeoff of the sales price for the foundation repairs being half of it. And so I asked for approval.
Well, this is the public hearing portion, so we'll catch the discussion items. But it's okay. So now, when we get to that part, so at this point, if there's anybody interested in speaking in regards to this project, this is their time.
No one signed up in advance.
Okay. Item number 4, the public hearing regarding Resolution 6757, authorizing Rosemont of Highland Park Apartment Project restructuring, including authorizing the sale of the Rosemont at Highland Park Apartment Project and the establishment of the public-private partnership to rehabilitate and operate the project. This is also in conjunction with San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation, Resolution 25FAC-04-05, authorizing the optional redemption, repayment, and discharge of the San Antonio Housing Finance Corporation multifamily housing revenue bonds as related to Rosebud at Highland Park. This one is also for Miranda or Tim, but at this point, it's because this is a public hearing. If anybody's here to speak on this item, they may do so.
No one signed up in advance.
Okay. With that, we'll move to the minutes. We have minutes for the approval of the May 7th regular board meeting, the May 21st Finance Committee meeting minutes, and the May 21st Operations and Real Estate Committee meeting minutes. I'll take a motion for approval of those minutes.
So moved.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are okay. The meeting minutes are approved. Just number 9. We now have consent items 6 through 20. Commissioners, if you had all of these for the public as well as staff, as y'all well know, we get these updates and we deliberate on these items extensively during our committee meetings. So that way we are fully informed. These are not just consent pass-throughs. We've already deliberated on most of these items. So when they hit the consent for the regular board, it's typically taken up as one vote. Do we have any comments with regards to the items?
Before we move on to vote on the consent items, I would like to pull item number 9 and move it to closed session. I'd like to move it from consent, item number 9, and move it to closed session, please.
Okay, so we have items 6 through 8 and items 10 through 20 that will go to the consent. So I will take a motion on those items. Number 9 we will bring for review after this.
So move.
So we have a motion to approve consent items 6 through 8 and 10 through 20. Are there any questions, or can I get a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent items 6 through 8 and 10 through 20 are approved. All righty, we'll move to item number 21 under our individual items, which we will table for a few minutes to get a review, which we'll do so, Counselor, in closed. So we'll move to item number 22, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6777, authorizing the award of a contract for waste disposal and recycling services to Waste Management of Texas through Choice Partners, a nationwide purchasing cooperative for an estimated amount not to exceed $3 million for a period of 3 years with the option to renew up to 2 additional one-year terms. George Ayala, Director of Procurement.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. As you know, Opportunity Home requires comprehensive waste disposal and recycling services, including solid waste removal, recycling materials collection, and bulk pickup services across all our properties. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development encourages housing authorities to utilize cooperative and interagency agreements to streamline procurement. As a member of Choice Partners, a nationwide purchasing cooperative that follows competitive bidding process, Opportunity Home is not required to issue its own competitive solicitation for contracts available through such cooperatives. On February 18th, 2022, Choice Partners at the Department of Harris County Department of Education issued an RFP for waste and recycling services, which closed on March 22nd of 2022. Waste Management of Texas was awarded a contract. This contract is currently in its third year renewal option of the award, and the contract includes a survival clause allowing supplemental contracts to continue. Staff, after seeking approval to continue seeking approval to continue utilizing the services of our current vendor, Waste Management, through this Choice Partners awarded contract. Next, that's the slide. The current award recommendation for Waste Management services is not expected to exceed an annual amount of $3 million. This will be funded through the department's operating budgets and included in department's operating budgets and includes a price adjustment of 4% for years 2 through 5 if needed. The contract term is for 3 years with the option to renew for up to 2 additional 1-year terms. Any questions regarding the procurement process?
I have a question, but it's not about the procurement process.
That's right.
Do I recall from the discussion of this item at a committee meeting that we do continue to have an issue with dumping at our sites so that the waste removal, we may be serving as a collection site for refuse that's not from our property?
Yes, ma'am. And Mr. can elaborate on that.
There tend to be issues that our site management and site maintenance do contend with, and at times it does elevate our costs at these contracts, but our director of public housing and the maintenance teams have been working together in mitigating those risks and at various sites. And they happen at the larger properties primarily, and that's where our costs are. So they focus energy and efforts to help mitigate those costs. And we have reduced those overages, I'm going to say on average, by half, but we still experience additional costs.
That's great. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions with regards to item 22? With none, I'll take a motion for Resolution 6777, authorizing. We've got a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item 22 is approved. Item 23, Resolution 6752, authorizing the award of contracts for environmental review consultant to All Environmental, Inc., DBA AEI Consultants, Posnecki and Camarillo, LLC, Phase Engineering, and Terracon Consultants Incorporated for an annual amount not to exceed $600,000 for a period of 1 year, with the option to renew up to 4 additional 1-year terms. George Ayala, Director of Procurement, Hector Martinez, Senior Director of Construction Services and Sustainability.
Thank you, Commissioner. As you all know, Opportunity Home requires specialized consultants to provide essential environmental review services as mandated by Title 24 of Code of Federal Regulations from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. This process ensures that all our projects do not negatively impact the environment and that our properties are safe and healthy for our residents. On February 19 of 2025, we issued a request for qualifications, which closed on March 17, 2025. This RFQ was widely publicized on an e-procurement website, the Heartbeat, and directly solicited to 809 vendors. We received 4 proposals at the conclusion of this posting period. Each proposal was evaluated based on the criteria including qualifications and experience, capacity, project management, and the strength of the contractor's SWINBY utilization statement. After an evaluation period, staff are recommending contracts awarded to all 4 proposals. These awards encompass a range of vital services, including environmental record review and ensuring compliance with federal, state, and local environmental standards for all HUD-assisted projects. The total annual amount of this environmental consulting services is not expected to exceed $600,000 and will be funded by CFP and other capital grants budgets, the property's operating budgets, and/or any available reserves. The contract term is for 1 year with the option to renew for up to 4 additional 1-year terms. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Martinez to address some of the concerns about the ERRs.
Thank you, George. So I just want to clarify, an ERR, environmental review record, is strictly an administrative process that we have to go through when we expend federal funds on construction projects. And so this isn't about, going out to sites and testing for asbestos or lead-based paint or mold or anything like that. This is strictly, like I said, an administrative process where, HUD wants to make sure that whatever activities we're getting ready to engage in, that we're not potentially posing any environmental risks for the surrounding areas. It looks at historical significance of the potential site. And so it's required on all of our construction activities and our development, redevelopment activities. It's a requirement. It's a lengthy process. It takes several months. I invited Piper to join us here today. She's Nicole Piper Rodriguez. She's our grant manager for Opportunity Home in construction services, and she is our in-house environmental review record expert. So she works closely with the city staff and the HUD staff who monitor these and approve these and move these through. So, Piper's intimately aware of the challenges, the time constraints of this administrative burden. And so what we're doing this time with this contract is we're asking permission to enter into a contract specifically for environmental review records with consultants who have expertise in this process, and we're asking for an increased amount. It'll cover all of our capital activities in our 5-year plan, any other capital activities that come up, development, redevelopment. It'll open this up agency-wide for all of those activities. And so I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody has at this time.
So just to clarify the first year, and thank you, that was very helpful information. The first year amount is $600,000, and then it would be renewable for 4 additional years at that same annual amount?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? For item number 23, I am recusing myself from this vote, but I will take a motion for the item.
So moved.
We have a first, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? One recusal, and it is approved.
Thank you.
Item number 24, consideration and approval regarding 6779, accepting the independent auditor's report for the year ended June 30th, 2024. And who's? Okay, Aaron's going to come up and do the presentation. Come on down, Aaron.
I'm not doing the presentation. I'm doing the intro to the presentation.
Intro to the presentation,
yes,
okay.
Yes. So our financial and compliance audit for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024 has been completed. That was completed around March this year. It represents the 5th and final year with CohnReznick. So I have Eric Rumberger, the lead auditor, and partner with CohnReznick here to deliver the audit results to you. I'd like to thank him and his staff for all their efforts and guidance these past 5 years. It was certainly a different audit for everyone because their first audit period was for the period ending June 30th, 2020. So with COVID and everything, that was certainly an interesting audit. We were all shuffling and learning how to work in the remote environment at the time. So much thanks to you, Eric, and thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much, Aaron. So as Aaron mentioned, my name is Eric Rumberger, audit partner with CohnReznick. I'm here to talk about the audit for the year ended June 30th, 2024. So here is our agenda. We'll go over our high-level audit comments, a little more in depth about the audit plan and results, and then finish up with some of our required communications. So as a governmental agency in receipt of significant federal funds, you're actually subject to 3 different sets of auditing standards, which results in 3 different audit reports from us. The first is auditing standards generally accepted in the United States, or GAS. The second being generally accepted government auditing standards, GAGAS or Yellow Book. You can probably guess why. It was published in the lovely Yellow Book. And then the third is auditing standards required by the Uniform Guidance. To get the great news out of the way up front, all 3 reports are unmodified or clean opinions, and there were no control deficiencies or non-compliance reported in any of the reports. So going into each in a little more detail, the first being the independent auditor's report under GAS. That is our audit of the financial statements themselves and the related disclosures. And as I mentioned, it's an unmodified or clean opinion, which is our highest level of assurance that the financial statements are materially correct in all regards. A few items to point out in that audit report that I think are important for the reader to understand. We do reference to other auditors that audit the pension plan. So we did not audit the pension plan. So insofar as the pension amounts are included in the financial statements, we rely on that other audit report. And that audit is not required to be audited under government auditing standards. The annual report also includes both audited and unaudited information that is not the basic financial statements or footnote disclosures. So I do want to point that out. The unaudited information is the management's discussion and analysis, which is required by the GASB. So we do limited procedures on the MD&A. And so therefore we do not provide an opinion or any assurance on the MD&A. The audited information that accompanies the report is the schedule of expenditures of federal awards and also the modernization cost certificates in the back. And we do provide what's called an in relation to opinion. So it says that those schedules are fairly presented in all material respect in relation to the financial statements as a whole. Our second report, our Yellow Book report, is on our consideration of internal control over financial reporting and compliance with laws and regulations that could have a material effect on the financial statements. So this is what are the policies, procedures, controls of the agency to ensure that the amounts reported in the financial statement are accurate and complete. And then if there's any non-compliance with any laws or regulations that could have an impact on the financial statements amounts or disclosures in the financial statements, that's what we're looking at here. We also reference the pension plan, again, that this was not audited in accordance with government standards, so we don't have any responsibility related to the pension plan. And we do not actually provide an opinion on internal control or an opinion on compliance in this report. Rather, if we identify any items as a result of our testing, we're required to report those. So again, there was no deficiencies or non-compliance items that are required to be reported here, which is what you're looking for. And then our final report is our independent auditor's report under the uniform guidance. So this is our audit of compliance for major federal programs and our consideration of internal control over compliance for those major federal programs. The uniform guidance provides a risk-based approach of determining what are major federal programs. So we look at all of the programs and determine based on risk, dollar size, complexity of the program, which programs to test. We do not test all federal programs as major. For 2024, the Moving to Work demonstration program was the only major program tested. We do provide an opinion on compliance, which again is an unmodified opinion saying the agency complied in all material respects with the requirements of the MTW program that are required to be tested. Again, exactly what you're looking for there. And then the internal control piece of this, slightly different than the Yellow Book report, but we're looking at what are the controls of the agency to ensure compliance with federal programs. Might not have an impact on the financial statements, but what are you doing to ensure you're complying with federal regulation? Again, we don't provide an opinion on internal control over compliance, rather any items that we note will report, and again, no deficiencies to be reported. So some overall comments, management and staff, extremely cooperative, well prepared, helpful as always, very timely in the requests. It's been great getting to work with Aaron and Diana and their team the past few years. And as Aaron mentioned, very interesting period going through COVID and also a lot of new government standards required to be implemented, which required a lot of heavy lifting and work. So very appreciative of their staff. And it's been a pleasure and an honor working with you all. So a little more detail of the plan and the results of the testing. So we always start out at the beginning of the audit interviewing personnel to update our documentation and understanding of systems, controls, policies, procedures, and then doing walkthrough on these significant areas listed here. And that helps drive into our internal control and our compliance testing, which is how we come to the answer of we don't have any control deficiencies to report or compliance issues. We also hold fraud discussions with management and operational personnel. Happy to report there were no fraud issues brought to our attention or other significant areas of concern identified by management brought to us to make sure we look into in more detail. Then going into the detailed testing in the actual financial statements, some of the major areas in the balance sheet, including cash investments, accounts and notes receivable, unearned revenue, ground leases, notes payable. We look at those in depth because they are such large, significant amounts, obtain the reconciliations, detail test them, and also confirm where necessary. And then we spend a lot of time in capital assets, being the most significant item on your balance sheet. We do detailed testing of additions, disposals, recalculating gains or losses, and reconcile that all to underlying support. And then we move into the statement of activities, looking at program revenues, non-operating revenues, and also the operating and non-operating expenses to verify accuracy, completeness, cutoff, and as well as proper classification in the statements. We have issued separate audit reports for several component units, the Facility Corporation, Spring Hill Cortland Heights, Converse Ranch, Science Park 2, O'Connor, and Fugio. All of those were unmodified or cleaned opinions as well and have different reporting requirements. That's why they have their standalone audits. And once again, the pension plan separately audited, but not by us. We audit the financial data submission, which is the HUD version of your financial statements that's required to be submitted to REAC. So we test all the underlying support in the trial balance, general ledger, and make sure that translates into the financial data schedule properly, and that translates into the financial statements. Make sure all that information is uploaded to HUD site and submitted timely. And then we audit the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, which is prepared by management, and that drives our determination of the major federal programs so that we can test compliance. So our final section is required communication. So there's certain items that we're required to communicate under our professional standards with those charged with governance, which is you, the board. The first three bullets are about our responsibilities under auditing standards and government auditing standards. First is our responsibility is to express an opinion on the financial statements, whether they are fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with the accounting principles adopted by the agency. And we plan and perform our audit to obtain reasonable but not absolute assurance. We do test on a sample basis and make projections where necessary and statistically valid sampling. We do not reproduce every transaction, recalculate every item. So that's how we can get to reasonable assurance rather than absolute assurance. And then, as mentioned a couple times, our consideration of internal control and compliance for the various reports. It is management that's responsible for the selection, adoption, and application of accounting policies. Those are listed in Note 1 to the financial statements. And there were no transactions entered into during the year for which there's a lack of authoritative guidance or consensus. We call these accounting gray areas. We like to think accounting is black and white. But if there are certain transactions that are newly entered into, if there's not direct authoritative guidance on there, or there might be a selection of how to account for certain transactions, we would make you aware of that so that you know an intentional decision was made here. We had no disagreements or difficulties with management in the completion of our audit, and there were also no consultation with outside accountants. It's not uncommon in the industry that management could go out to other accounting groups to get their take on accounting presentation or recording certain transactions or auditing matters to then come back to the auditors and say, hey, we got a second opinion. If that happened, we would report that to you, but there were no such consultations that we were made aware of. And then our final slide, we talk about estimates, which are an important part of the financial statements, and the most significant estimates impacting the agency are the allowance for doubtful accounts and therefore the collectability of receivables, and also the useful lives of capital assets and related depreciation and carrying value of those assets. And finally, if there were any audit adjustments identified by us as a result of our audit procedures that were required to be posted into the general ledger, misstatements of the financial statements, we would communicate those to you, but happy to report there were no adjustments posted as a result of our procedures. I believe that is my last slide. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to take those now.
Commissioners, do we have any questions with regards to the review? Go right ahead.
I have a question. Thank you very much, and it's very exciting to see the clean opinion and a modified opinion. I just want to be clear to understand that is part of what you're assessing our own internal control program? I know we get various presentations during the year about work that we are doing to monitor and maintain the integrity. And do you review any of those activities, or is that a separate work that we do?
That is primarily separate that you do. We look at internal audit, usually as the external auditors on the financial statements. If internal audit function is auditing balances, they're saying we're going to look and audit cash balances. We could piggyback on that work to reduce some of our work that goes into the financial statements. If there was any direct correlation of internal audit looking at tenant participation files, we could potentially piggyback on that. But in terms of you looking at, are you following internal policies, or what's the right thing to do here in terms of internal audit, we typically don't look into that too much.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, I'll take a motion on item 24, Resolution 6779.
A motion.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 25, Resolution 6754, authorizing the President and CEO to renew or place insurance policies covering property liability, cyber liability, excess directors and officers, employment practices, workers' compensation, automobile fleet, fiduciary, fidelity, flood, and boiler and machinery for Opportunity Home San Antonio and its affiliated entities for the fiscal year 2025 to 2026 for an estimated amount of $7.9 million and change. Diane Fiedler is doing our presentation.
I am not. I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Dominguez. She's our Senior Risk Manager, and she's going to handle the presentation. Thanks.
Great, fantastic, welcome.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. In respect to the insurance for the agency, our funding for insurance comes from our 25-26 budget, as well as insurance escrows. Requirements for insurance are through HUD and our lenders, and then beyond those compliance levels, we recognize that the strategic importance of carrying insurance as well to protect our assets and operations. We also work with our broker, McGriff. Susan Gola is our primary broker. She's not here today, but she does represent us and goes out to the market for us, consults for us, and makes sure that we get the best prices and options for Opportunity Home. Annual efforts include her going out and getting those price comparisons. Last year, for the fiscal year 24-25, the board approved $5,888,443 for our total projected cost for insurance. For the next fiscal year, we are estimating that that is going to be $7,961,000, which includes an additional 10% for any policy additions, premium increases, if we have events, coverage gaps, things of that nature. Premium increases overall attribute to the market conditions, claim loss history, filling, coverage gaps, and then of course the weather. Right, we all see those catastrophes that have been happening with our weather. The market for both liability and excess coverage continues to harden, and then for our property, that market we're seeing increases specifically due to construction cost, and that's impacted some of those premiums. In regards to cyber liability insurance, in order to get cyber insurance, there are a lot of requirements that companies have to do in order to comply, and that has to do a lot with artificial intelligence. And I just want to give a shout out to Joanna and her team because they have done great, and we've been able to comply and keep our coverages. And then for the auto market, that market also continues to harden, but we're seeing that that's because of the rising material labor costs, as well as the option of vehicle safety features. So those are costing much more, even though they are safety features, they have a higher cost. And then to give you an idea of how we go out for insurance, our renewal process is in March. We are doing our applications and working with our Broker, we gather and submit those applications. Our broker reviews the markets, the trends, pricing, and then in June, we recommend and request the Board of Commissioners authorization to seek competitive premiums. And then in July and August, in July, we renew all of our insurance for July 1. We renew those, and then we provide an update of the placement for insurance. Can we go to the next slide? Or do I have it right? Sorry, I apologize. Oh, it didn't. Okay, I apologize. But you should have gotten a copy of the this spreadsheet that shows our insurance renewal projections. I just wanted to let you know that based upon what we're seeing for liability, we had estimated it was going to be about a 16% increase, and we're looking at more about 10%. For the property, the general market is looking at about a 20% increase in premiums. With HAI Group, who does affordable housing specifically, their increase is more about 5%, but that's at current total insured values, meaning that that's not an increase to our buildings. And what we see is that it may be favorable to look at that 5% and say, hey, we should do that, but it's not a wise decision because there's a surge in construction costs. And we've had some claims where we've maxed out our policy and then we don't have additional funds. So we've had to go into our budgets for that. So proactively choosing to pursue property quotes with a higher total insured value is important. And then, of course, once we place insurance, we will provide an update to the board. If you have any questions, myself or Diana are available to you.
And that chart is on page 352 of your packet.
Say that again?
That chart is on page 352 of your packet.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just a quick comment. Thank you for telling us why we have to do this, where the funding is coming from, and how you did it. Just laying out those things at the beginning was helpful.
Okay. With no questions, I'll take a motion on item 25.
So moved.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 6754 is approved. Item 26, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6756, authorizing Costa Valencia. We heard a little bit of this presentation earlier. So come on down. Tim Alcott.
So let me explain a little bit here. So, I was listening to comments, and whenever we sell properties or buy properties, there's a lot of thought that's put into it. And I just want y'all to appreciate that. The way it works, we're developing a property or not, we have, someone will bring us a deal, we'll be looking at our portfolio, and we have our internal REDS committee, and we go through that. And the REDS committee is Real Estate Development Committee, and includes finance, includes property management, Lorraine from development. And so there's a big group of us, and we look at each property individually, and there's a discussion about it. And then after it goes through REDS, to make sure we're making the right decision, we then bring it and it's discussed at the executive leadership teams. That's on Monday, and that's, you all know who the executive team is. So, it's not haphazard whenever we decide what we're going to develop or not. And so I walked up here earlier, I heard the word Costa Valencia, and I was like, I just was thinking about this. And I immediately walked up here, so I jumped the gun. But these are two properties that were brought to the board before, and it was back in February in Ops and March board meeting. And, these properties had challenges. And so what we discussed was that there has been ongoing losses with these properties. We have a limited amount of money that we have for capital fund to repair all of our properties. And so we ultimately decided to sell it because there's a significant outstanding debt on it. It needed millions of dollars to put in these properties to preserve them, so families would enjoy living there. And so we put it out. We had 5 or 6 respondents. I think it was 5. And this one, they offered us $24 million. And so we said, obviously, we brought it to the board. It was approved in concept, and so we said we'd bring it back for the final terms. And then they looked at it and they said there's some foundation repairs and things like that that were unexpected. And as I mentioned earlier, we said we'd split that as part of the cost to keep it going forward. But, and I didn't bring the clicker here. But you have, Costa Valencia and Rosamond Highland Park, they're right by each other, or near each other, excuse me. And they're good-looking properties, but each one of them had their own challenges. Costa Valencia, as I mentioned earlier, it had some blank land in front of it, and as I mentioned again, that NRP said they'd donate that land to make it better. But ultimately, after we got the final terms in, we brought it back to Reds, and we said we should sell it. And the other nice part of this is that there is an ongoing LURA, or land use restriction, against the property. I mentioned it earlier, and so it will maintain its affordability for a long period of time. So you will still have that, and also, $250 per deal that we're getting in as a fee for doing that, for staying in the deal, for staying in the transaction, and every time it's sold, it's a capital event fee of 5%, and we get 25% of the property and sales tax savings. So we thought it was a good deal. We don't want properties that are costing us millions of dollars. And we put a lot of care and thought into whenever we do these deals and bring them to you. So we ask for your approval. We're happy to answer questions.
Okay. Commissioners, we are taking item 26 and 27 together. So that way y'all are aware for both of them. So questions
it's
for
the
either
same buyer. And,
I do recall extensive conversation at the Board of Commissioners level, and I just want to repeat back the things that I've heard you say, that this sale will allow a better quality of life for the residents at these properties, that this sale will reduce the expenses that we were continuing to invest without seeing any measurable improvement in the properties, that the sale will preserve the affordability of the properties, and that the sale of these two properties will allow us to focus attention on the remaining properties in our portfolio while accomplishing those other goals with a new owner that has the capital to invest in those repairs and improvements.
You said it very succinctly. That's exactly what we're doing.
Well, it's just, I heard some comments earlier from citizens saying that we ought to be doing those things, and I wish that those citizens were here to hear this item to understand the actions the board is taking to accomplish the goals that they suggested that we pursue.
That's exactly right. Because when I was listening to it, I was like, oh my goodness, she just made all these comments. What am I doing? I'm selling properties, and what a worse time to actually be coming up here. And I was thinking about that whenever I heard the name. I was like, oh my gosh, now I got to go up there. But it is a lot of thought into it, and it's not one person. It's like a team effort when we go through that. We're trying to find what's best for the agency, and how do we preserve it? It's, there's tons of money that puts into this. That needs to be put into this, and we have limited resources, to do all these properties, and then we can preserve it. It's still affordable, and we think the residents will be better off, and so is all those reasons.
Well, it's that particular item. I mean, it's not necessarily better for the organization. Obviously, it protects the organization, but commissioners, it's better for our residents. And Commissioner Powell said it correctly. Right. We now partnered with somebody that will, and correct me if I'm wrong, do we have oversight on that to watch what they're doing?
So these properties will go back into the partnership portfolio. We are going to be general partner in them, and so we will have the oversight that we do with any of other partnership properties. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So it is better for our families, and they have the partners will bring new capital. That's not at a cost to Opportunity Homes. So this is, I'm all for it. But
there is nothing worse for me than going to a property or sitting here in this room and hearing a resident say, this property is unsafe because the units are vacant, or these repairs aren't being done, and knowing that those are concerns, that because of the state of the property and its reserves, that we do not have the ability to address those things. And so the fact that we are taking proactive steps so that the folks who live there now can have a better quality of life, that's really critical to me as a commissioner. I don't want to speak for the other commissioners, but I think that's consistent across the dais up here.
Yeah, thank you.
I think the only other thing to stamp, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that no one will be displaced because of this.
That's right,
partnership.
100% true.
Yeah.
Any other comments with regards to item 26 or 27?
Just on that note that you just made, sometimes when we use words like LURA, we all know what a LURA is, but you might
The land
explain.
use restriction agreement. Yeah, I thought I said that, but I need to make sure I do say that. And that's a restriction that whenever you do tax credit deals, is for 30 years, whereby you have to maintain the affordability. And so even though this is past the 15 years, it does continue on even though we're having to sell the property.
With no other comments, I will take a motion on items 26 and 27.
So moved.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolutions 6756 and 6757 are approved. Item number 28, Resolution 6780, authorizing the appointment of all officers of the Housing Authority of the City of San Antonio, Texas, aka Opportunity Home San Antonio, other than the President and Chief Executive Officer, as Assistant Secretary / Treasurers of all Opportunity Home San Antonio affiliate corporations. Mario Roeder, you are up.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm bringing this resolution for two reasons. Number one, we have had some continuing concerns from some of our partners when we do our developments regarding the previous resolution that we have in place that basically says the same thing, that all of our officers, except for our President and CEO, are considered assistant secretary treasurers. So when we take our resolutions to some of our banks, some of our trustees, the newer ones mainly, they are considering that resolution old and they're not accepting it, even though it has not been superseded. So in order to address those concerns, we're bringing this resolution back. The previous one was done in 2017 and under Saha name. This one is done now in 2025 under Opportunity Home name. So we're hoping to mitigate some of that pushback we're getting from some of our bond trustees, our lenders, and things like that. So this right here, and the second thing is just to also for the commissioners to reaffirm that they are in agreement with all of our officers being considered assistant secretary treasurers. And what that basically allows us to do is sign documents on behalf of the agency or the organization.
Is there a concern that there are too many that can sign?
No. It's old in the name's under. But what's odd is that for the secretary treasurer, that one is also under Saha, but they haven't had any issues with that. But we don't list, I know in the memo I listed all of our officers, but we don't generally list our officers with the resolution. So the resolution is just very basic. Any officer of Opportunity Home would be considered an assistant secretary treasurer, because we don't know, next week Michael can have 6 officers, 12 officers, who knows? So, and he's not doing that. he is not doing that. But what happened was, and just to give you a little bit of background, and the reason why we did this in 2017 is at the time we had specifically named officers as assistant secretary treasurers. And of those specifically named officers, only 2 were still with the organization with that title. And so we had very limited number of assistant secretary treasurers. And if someone's on PTO or whatever, out for whatever reason, we would have trouble trying to get signatures. And so we decided at that time, we trust our officers. And so they should all be considered assistant secretary treasurers.
Any questions? With none, I'll take a motion on item 28, Resolution 6780.
Make a motion for approval.
We have a first. We have a second. We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 6780 passes. Okay. Prior to going to the President's report, it's probably important for us before we go to after the President's report, when we go to closed session, we'd like to maybe hear the presentation for item 21. So I want to bring that one back up so that way we can at least hear the presentation. Unless there's any objection, any of the commissioners want to wait, we can wait, but I think it's probably good that we hear it.
At least we know what we're talking about on close.
So this would be Resolution 6776, authorizing the award of contracts for various security services to FastGuard Service LLC, U.S. Domestic and Foreign Protection Services, and Vet Securing America for an annual cumulative amount not to exceed $3 million for a period of 1 year with the option to renew up to 4 additional one-year terms. George Ayala, Director of Procurement, and Domingo Yvara, Director of Security. And just as a reminder, we won't take a motion after this. We'll go into close to discuss.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Before I present Resolution 6776 for your consideration regarding the award of contracts for various security service, I want to address the letter we understand you received from our current vendor. This letter raises concerns about procurement process that allegedly led to their exclusion from the awarded recommendations for Firewatch and General Security Services. We respectfully disagree with the claims outlined in their letter. We want to assure the board that the procurement process was conducted with the utmost integrity and transparency, adhering to all established guidelines and procedures. The letter specifically mentions a steep and unexplained drop in their evaluation score, but our scores reflect a comprehensive and fair assessment of all proposals submitted. They also claim that vendors who failed to meet RFP requirements, including disqualification for lacking patrol services, were advanced and that there were arbitrary evaluator assignments. We can confirm that all vendors were evaluated against the established criteria, and evaluator assignments were followed standard protocol. Furthermore, the letter referenced inappropriate disclosures by Opportunity Home representatives to current police officers, reevaluating award decisions prior to the final notice, along with the attempts to recruit current staff to assist new vendors. We are currently looking towards these matters, towards these allegations. Regarding the contract extension on December, claims, on December 5th, 2024, the Procurement Department delivered a renewal option to our current vendor with regards to the extension of the contract for security services, which officially ended on March 16, 2025. Our vendor failed to sign the extension, and the contract was automatically voided on February 3rd, 2025. On February 7th, we received a notice that the current vendor had requested a 13% rate increase for the upcoming contract renewal, citing rising labor costs and economic conditions. Due to the current budget limitations, we were unable to accommodate this increase at this time. To ensure continuous service for our residents, we requested the vendor to provide a proposal for month-to-month services based on suggested market rates. This month-to-month agreement, effective March 17, 2025, extends through June 30th of 2025. We acknowledge that the execution of the extension experienced a delay in our end, a one-day delay, and we appreciate our vendor extending a courtesy to continue services during this time. We understand the vendor's desire to continue their partnership with Opportunity Home, and we value their past contributions. However, the current procurement process, which includes Resolution 6776, is a necessary step to resolicit these services and ensure that we're getting the best value and comprehensive coverage for our properties and our residents. We are confident that the recommended award under Resolution 6776 align with the best interests of Opportunity Home San Antonio and its residents. We are prepared to answer any questions before moving forward. But I'll go ahead and present the solicitation. At this time, we're bringing Resolution 6774, authorizing the award of contracts to various security services. As you all know, Opportunity Home requires comprehensive security services, including peace officers and commissioned and non-commissioned security guards for our properties, special events, and central office lobbies. This also includes support for our San Antonio Fear-Free Environment, the SAFE program. And with regards to the solicitation process, on March 28, 2025, we issued a request for proposals. which closed on April 22nd, 2025. The RFP was published on multiple websites and directly solicited to 60 vendors. At the end of conclusion, we received 8 proposals with regards to this solicitation. This proposal were evaluated on the criteria of experience, key personnel, capacity, infrastructure, and quality control, price proposal, and the strength of the contractor's Section 3 and SWIMBY utilization plans. Based on this evaluation, staff is recommending contract awards to FastGuard Services, U.S. Domestic and Foreign Protection Services, and Bed Secure in America. The current award recommendation for various security services is not expected to exceed an annual committed amount of $3 million and will be funded by the property's operating budget and/or available reserves. The contract term is for 1 year, with the option to renew for up to 4 additional one-year terms. At this time, I will transfer it over to Mr. Ibarra so he can talk about the services that are requested.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Of the recommended vendors, all of them have prior public housing experience. FastGuard has Los Angeles Housing Authority, U.S. Domestic and Foreign Protection have Austin Housing Authority, and then the one with the most experience with housing authorities is Bed Securing America. They have Cincinnati, Fort Worth, Galveston, Huntsville, Los Angeles, Kansas City, and Sacramento. As you know, one of the major components that we need is peace officers, or more specifically, the commissioned officers for the SAFE program. That's been very effective for us, and all of these have the capacity to be able to provide that. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
No, but we'll reserve the right for afterwards.
Thank you, sir.
With that, why don't we go to the President's report?
Commissioners, I'd like to start off by thanking our Public Affairs Department and the City of San Antonio for launching the Domestic Violence Prevention Series at our public housing properties this month. Additionally, I want to thank our Community Development Initiatives Department and their staff for their outreach efforts, encouraging residents to attend these informational sessions. This series is essential to informing our residents of violence prevention tips and resources to stay safe in their communities. As of June 14th, we've hosted 8 sessions so far at Riverside, Casiano Homes, Westway, Francis Fury, Charles Andrews, and most recently at the Alazan Apache Courts. We will keep you informed of future violence prevention sessions if you'd like to attend one of them in the future. Next, I'd like to take a moment to celebrate some remarkable residents. Residents from our Colonel George Cisneros and Westway Apartments recently graduated from a multi-week digital literacy course. The courses were offered through a partnership between Connect Home SA and AARP's Older Adults Technology Services. Cisneros residents were recognized on May 21st and Westway residents on May 23rd. Each graduate received a certificate and a free digital device during their respective ceremonies. Thank you to Connect Home and AARP for equipping our residents with the technology tools to navigate the digital world. They really enjoy these training sessions and getting their device, and so I encourage you to attend if you are able to attend one of them. Congratulations to all of our graduates. Next, I'd like to recognize some individuals who are not only meeting their financial independence goals, but also they're great stewards of their community. That includes Gloria Salazar, who's a Minnesota Homes resident who joined our organization in April as a customer service representative with the Office of Operations Support. Gloria is beginning her post-education career at Opportunity Home. She graduated from the University of Incarnate Word with a 4.0 GPA. Gloria has made an immediate impact with our residents. She has aspirations for being an actress someday, dreams of landing a leading role in a film, and attributes her success to the pathway that Opportunity Home has provided. Just wanted to convey a congratulations to Gloria for choosing to start her career with us, and we look forward to seeing her all her future successes. Next, I'd like to highlight Sylvia Rainier, Housing Choice Voucher participant and a former Connect Home SA Digital Ambassador. Sylvia earned her Community Health Worker Certificate through YWCA San Antonio in December of last year. She aspires to be a community health worker who serves as a voice to individuals striving to thrive in their communities. Sylvia has made progress toward reaching her aspirations with her recent tenure as a Connect Home Digital Ambassador. In that role, she instructed digital technology courses at public housing properties, equipped residents with the fundamentals to navigate the digital space for applying for jobs, and composing and distributing emails, and many other computer-related activities. Congratulations to Sylvia on all her successes, and we wish her the best of luck. Gloria and Sylvia's successes are not only an inspiration for their fellow residents, but they're also a reminder to all of our staff on the work we do to change their lives each day here at the organization. I also wanted to highlight a few events coming up, or rather a recap of events. We just hosted a great Father's Day event last Saturday. I want to thank the chairman for being there. We've partnered with the San Antonio Fatherhood Campaign for our 25th annual event. The two organizations brought together the community to celebrate the spirit of fatherhood, and we had a car show, we had food, there was live music, great resource fair. It was just a great turnout, and we gave awards to some incredible fathers during that day. I also want to highlight Big Mama Safe House and Save Kids for San Antonio and the University Health System, who gave away booster seats to our residents at the Alazan Apache Courts on May 28th. In addition to booster seats, families also received guidance on how to keep their children safe during car rides. So I wanted to thank the three organizations for really focusing on safety for our residents and ensuring that the families enjoy safe and injury-free car rides. We also hosted, once again, on May 29th, a night at the Museum. So our public housing families enjoyed a fun night of learning-based activities during the family night at the Museum. They explored the interactive activities focused on STEM, arts and literacy, and they were piquing their interest in future career possibilities. So it was a great night. It was really fun for the kiddos. And so I wanted to thank the CDI staff for all their work in organizing that and making sure that the kids had a safe and fun night on that night. And then finally, want to highlight on June 27th, which is, I believe, next Friday, we're hosting our fourth installment of the Affordable Housing Power Hour, which is focused on our former Beacon communities, which are now the Affordable Housing Communities portfolio. So again, this is just an opportunity to engage the public. They're open to the community. They're open to residents. They're hosted here at Central Office. So we welcome anyone who wants to learn more about our nonprofit affordable housing portfolio to join us on June 27th at lunchtime for a briefing on that. And with that, Mr. Chair, that's the President's report.
Okay. I've gone to these housing power hours, and I appreciate how they're being run. So I've had, being in the community, I've heard it from those that have attended. They love them. So good job if y'all have it.
I just want to say a great job with the staff doing those, and they're very informative. I've got to attend the last one, and the amount of people from out in the community, from the city and different housing organizations that participate is really awesome. And great job, Michael, and to the staff.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have city staff there. We have community members. We have our housing ecosystem members attending. So they're becoming a really great brainstorming sessions and conversation starters. And so we've started the last 4 sessions with just kind of the basics of who we are, what we're doing. And we're going to eventually transition to a little more, dig deeper on how to preserve, how to produce, and ensuring that we're financially sustainable moving forward. So the sessions will get a little more intermediate as we get closer to the late summer and fall, but these are really good sessions. So, thank you.
With that, I will recess our regular board meeting so that way we can do the lightning round. We have the Las Vadas Public Facility Corporation meeting. I will open that. We do not need to do a roll call, correct, Counselor? So I will call this meeting to order. The Board of Directors or its committee may hold a closed meeting pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071-076 for consultation concerning attorney-client matters, real estate, litigation, personnel, and security matters. The Board or committee reserves the right to enter into closed meeting at any time during the course of the meeting. Are there any citizens to be heard signed up for this one?
There are no citizens signed up to speak.
Okay. We have the approval for the April 2nd Las Vadas Public Facility Corporation meeting minutes to approve. I'll take a motion for that.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Well, first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. We have one consent item. It's Resolution 25 LVPFC-06-01, authorizing the appointment of all officers of the Housing of Opportunity Home San Antonio. I'll take a motion on that one. We have a first. We have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That consent item is approved. I will adjourn Las Vadas Public Facility Corporation. We'll go to the San Antonio Housing Development Corporation meeting and call this one to order. We are all still here. Okay, I was going to say, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Is any citizens to be heard?
There are no citizens signed up to speak.
All right, we have the minutes from the August 7th, 2024 San Antonio Housing Development Corporation meeting minutes to approve.
Make a motion for approval.
We have a first. We have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great. We've got two consent items, Resolution 25 DEV-05-01 and Resolution 25 DEV-05-02. I'll take a motion to approve these consent items.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a first and a second to approve those two items. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The two consent items are approved. We will adjourn that one. On to the San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation meeting. All are still present. We'll call the meeting to order. Any citizens to be heard?
There are no citizens signed up to speak.
With no citizens to be heard, we've got the approval of the May 7th, 2025 San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation minutes to approve. I'll take a motion.
So moved.
We have a first. We have a second.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. We have consent items for, let's see here, double check something real quick. 4 through 13. If y'all want to quickly peruse up, make sure there isn't any particular issues. I think that we're fine on this one. If there are no adjustments, I'll take a motion to approve consent items 4 through 13. We have a first. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The consent items are approved. I will adjourn that meeting.
Chair, can I make a quick comment? And I know you made this earlier, but we do spend a considerable amount of time going over these items in prior meetings, so that it seems like we're just rushing through these without discussing them, but they have been thoroughly
discussed. So, that's important, because I know at some points people listen to this part of the meeting and think they're not even paying attention. We've already gone through this. We've heard this. We've heard these presentations. We've discussed the items, and staff has taken the time to bring them to us. So, I will call to order the San Antonio Housing Finance Corporation meeting. We are all still present. We'll call the meeting to order. Any citizens to be heard on this one?
There are no citizens to be heard.
And with that, I have approval of the March 6th San Antonio Housing Finance Corporation minutes to approve.
Move for approval.
We have a first. We have a second. Second. We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. We have two consent items. The resolution 25 FIN-04-01 and 25 FIN-04-02. I'll take a motion on these two items.
Make a motion to approve consent items 4 and 5.
We have a first. We have a second. Second. First and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? They are approved. We will adjourn that meeting. And with that, Counselor?
Yes, sir. The board will be convening in closed session to discuss personnel and consult with its attorney under sections 551.074 and 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. The board will also consider items 9 and 21 of the agenda and consult with its attorney under sections 551.076 and 551.071. The time is 2:35.
The time is 3:25 p.m. and the board has returned from closed session. Would you like me to conduct commissioner roll call? No? Recognize that all commissioners are present. You may continue.
All righty, thank you. So we have one consent item. I will take a motion on. It's item number 9, Resolution 6768.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 6768 carries. We have one individual item that we received a presentation on previously. It's item 21, Resolution 6776, authorizing the award of contracts for various security services to FastGuard LLC, U.S. Domestic and Foreign Protection Services, and Vet Securing America for an annual cumulative amount not to exceed $3.0 million for a period of 1 year with the option to renew up to 4 additional 1-year terms. It was presented by George Ayala, Director of Procurement, and Domingo Ivada, Director of Security. If there are no questions or comments on it, I will take a motion on this one.
So moved.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed?
No.
We have one opposition. The motion carries. Item 21 is approved. With no other items on the agenda, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.